Well, I want to give a word of caution about numismatics coins, and in other words, coins that are, and this is the rabbit nose. The rabbit nose wants to know what's going on, right? So we got the rabbit sniffing the air. It's like I like cats. Rabbits are okay. The deal is though that when you, as an individual, think you have a very good deal, you might. Okay, you might. I'm not saying you're not going to, but you are the prey dealing with the sharks. Now, I'm going to tell you that not all coin dealers are bad or anything, and I don't have any association with coin dealers. And I'll tell you who I dealt with personally and I thought are good, but that's my personal experience. I'll get onto that later, but I want to make a major point though here. First, I don't have any affiliation with bullion dealers, and number two is I have a lot more financial and accounting experience than even the people that claim to be financial experts on YouTube. Okay, I do this because I can't stand the major media for one. I like helping people, and it would be far more profitable for me to work in the accounting field. But I'm doing this really well. You got to follow. The deal is you got to follow what you like. I know that's another deal too. Besides, sometimes it doesn't work out that way in the beginning, but eventually sometimes it does. You follow what you like. Now, I want to give you some advice about when you're buying silver, gold, platinum, palladium. Now, in the case of platinum and palladium, you pretty much don't have too many numismatics out there. But in the case of gold and silver, yeah, you do. And there can be an additional value that can go up exponentially. Sometimes it can go up far greater than what's going on in the spot market when it takes off. And I know sometimes what I'm saying here is not going to be absolutely what's going to happen in the future, but by and large, the person, the buyer, is not going to be on the good end of the buying deal when you're dealing with an expert, because when you have a numismatic coins, any scratches that appear on the coin or any kind of minute damage, maybe you got the coin like that and it's not really, you didn't consider it damage, but when the expert is buying it, they're going to note it to you and say, well, I can't give you what it says here because it's a range, and they're always going to haggle you down. That's why you want to buy something as close to the spot as possible and usually avoid numismatics, because it's like a two-edged sword in buying and selling and trading. And you are not adept at this. You do not do this. You're basically an end buyer, and you hold and hold and hold, and when you sell something, whatever happens. Now, I know there's certain and it's my personal experience though. I don't know if it's across the board, but in my personal experience, I have not dealt with a lot of places, so I can't really say what all the other places do. But I could say one place I think has been treating me very fairly. I could tell you that. I'll tell you what it is. But I also want to say that do not get tunnel vision only with coins. You want to get items of utilitarian value. I've been putting out. I know it's unrelated to the silver, but I have actually a lot of different topics on this channel. A lot of knife videos. Now, some of the knives I got are made in the USA. They're high quality, like the K-bars and stuff like that. But I got other stuff that are made in foreign countries, and they're adequate quality. Chinese or Pakistani of adequate quality. But I do realize that, as the precious metals take off and commodities will take off, really, is really what the deal is. Energy, food prices, and all commodities and precious metals will move all at the same time. And I think part of that reason is you're going to see a change in the valuation of the dollar, especially between countries that we've been importing from, like China and Pakistan and the BRIC nations, basically, for overall. And that is going to raise the price of these foreign goods exponentially, but not necessarily change the value of the dollar that much globally as compared to the British pound, the Japanese yen, and Swiss franc and other established currencies, but versus currencies right now that are artificially low, like the Chinese yuan. And those products that are now being sold in China that have utilitarian value, I know I put a lot of knife videos out recently, but that could be a very good investment, a cheap investment. Just want to say that because it's not a collector investment necessarily, because they got collecting in this area too. But just like with coins, if you have a collector coin, or say you have a collector knife, or a collector car, or a collector painting, and the slightest little thing happens to it, it can lose a lot of its value. So just be aware of that, because that makes an otherwise risky investment even more risky, because it's you alone making this decision. I'm not saying it's a bad decision, but I'm saying is, and I said this before back in 2011 and 2010 when silver was going up exponentially, and you know, I backed off from saying some of this stuff because some people, they don't want to hear it. It's like I got it sometime, in the last few years I've been much more blatantly honest than I was when I first got on this channel, because I was afraid to, I was afraid to get hammered too much by people not wanting to hear something they want to hear. So I was candy coating some things. Not in the last few years, though. But I remember back in 2010, 2011, I said silver is a high-risk asset, possible high reward. Boy, they didn't want to hear that. Nobody wanted to hear that. What are you going to do, take fiat? I'm going to tell you that fiat cash is going to be, or some U.S. dollar, electronic dollars, is going to be the currency of this nation for quite a few years in the future. I mean, the only thing that's going to change that is there's some really crazy, catastrophic war that wipes us out or something. In that case, you're not going to be worrying too much about, how much money I got. You're going to be worrying about where your next meal's coming from. But, I consider myself like the watchdog on his silver stuff, because although I'm not nowhere near the biggest silver channel out there by any means, or the biggest YouTube channel. I mean, I got a fairly sizable channel, but it's a variety of topics. But I could say that I do have a fairly decent sized channel. But what's unique about me is that I do not have any affiliation to bullion dealers, or actually, I have one affiliation to a boutique investment house, but they don't sell physical bullion. They sell investments. They're attached with the CPA firm that I go into every once in a while. But I mainly kind of do this stuff. I mean, I do the CPA firm stuff, but I mainly do this stuff. And that's because I like doing it. If I was at the CPA firm doing it as much as I do to YouTube, I'd be making exponentially more money. So figure it out where I'm coming from. But I like doing this more so because I can do different things. Pretty much anything I want to do almost, right? But the deal is, I'm not also somebody who doesn't know what he's talking about in the financial area, because I could tell you that the people that do know what they're talking about in the financial area, they have an agenda to sell you bullion, and they're connected to the bullion dealers. And the people that don't know the areas very well, or the markets, or not necessarily the markets, but what's going on in the economy and what's going on in, the precious metals area, those people are basically led around the nose by the bigger people. I'm neither. And I could tell you I probably do have more financial and accounting background by far than the people that, wear the suits and ties, which I used to wear all the time for decades. So I'm kind of like the watchdog for the old girl here. And I'm watching over you guys too in a lot of ways. But let me say that in this country, and this is one of the reasons not just even for the money principle, I think it's going to play out like a son of a bitch, but I'm going to get to that in a second about where I think silver is going to go pretty damn high, because I'm already smelling, I'll throw a name out there, Big Swiggers out there talking about the crap he's talks about before. But I already smell that. You're they're getting ready to do the next pump and dump, because I think during the Trump administration they're going to pull the plug on the markets. They're going to allow the commodities to go up higher and higher, and people are going to get hammered on the lower classes, especially. I don't want to call them. Let's see, the classes that people that don't have as much money, because for the commodity price will be higher, the food prices and energy prices will be higher, and they'll be clamoring, what's going on with this Trump? Because he already said, let's make America great again. What's going on with the economy? But I think that's what the elitists that really control the levers are going to do. And when that happens, you're going to see gold go up, then silver, and probably platinum and palladium. Now, platinum and palladium, I think, well, palladium especially is going to get hammered when the markets come down, which I think will happen during the Trump administration. But it can go the other way after it gets hammered exponentially, because as tensions with Russia go higher and higher, Russia produces 43% of the palladium in the world, with 39% of the world's supply coming from one mine in northern Siberia in Urals. But there's a theoretical, and I just say like almost a spiritual reason why I say to buy silver and gold and precious metals, is that you are not partaking in the fiat financial system. The 1 basis point in this country, I don't even want to refer to them as the 1%, it's the 1% of the 1%, 1 basis point in this country that have the most wealth. They are connected to the financial system, but they produce basically nothing of value to us. They just have a racket. They're akin to old girl here sitting in a pool of water. They're just there enjoying and sucking up all the fruits of our labor and productivity throughout the country. And if there's anything goes wrong with any problem with troubled assets, they'll enjoy the troubled asset relief program, and times 2 it will occur again, and they'll get bailed out. That is why I advocate people buying some kind of precious metals also, because you're not keeping your true earnings and wealth in their racket casino. Now, some people want to make a lot of money off of that and want to get exponentially wealthy. That may happen, depends on how much you have, but the problem is you also stick with the true tenets of principles. And if you sometimes, because not everybody's going to get wealthy, what's going to happen is, what I'd really like to see is the elite fall. And they're not going to fall that easy, because they're smart as all hell, and they have real assets also. But as we look at ourselves in the mirror here, or we look at our Pokemon Go iPod, whatever the hell we're looking at, I'm going to tell you that we need to concentrate on real tangible value. And when you're talking about numismatic coins, it's almost like you have a company and you're selling a company. Say, for instance, you have a company, and somebody sells a company, and okay, here's the return on investment, here's all the capital that's involved in the sale, here's what all the assets are worth, less the depreciation, what I can expect from future returns. Fine. Then there's another thing that can be added into the price of the company called goodwill. Now, obviously, with something like Coca-Cola, you might have a hell of a lot of goodwill involved there with that name, right? But for the most part, goodwill is an arbitrary number that can be as fickle as which way the wind blows. And one of the problems with that could be the situation with numismatic coins. And like I said, the tiniest little scratch on a coin can drastically change that numismatic value by a tremendous amount. Now, if you are a seller of that coin on eBay and you're doing private sales, you might be able to get prices in a stratosphere, because during the bubble time, when people are more elated and excited about buying any coin, and you might be able to sell this to some person that's going to be holding the bag at an exponentially higher value, just like going up the ladder to the moon, as they always say, with what's going to happen with silver and gold. But if you are dealing with a professional in the field, you will not be, receiving the type of money you might. Because I don't want to. I'm not encouraging somebody to be a scam artist here, but I'm saying is when you're selling on eBay, you could probably get a hell of a lot more money than maybe it's in some cases than if you're sending it into a coin dealer. But there's a major, major, major caveat of selling on eBay. 1099. Like when you're selling to coin dealers, they have numbers of ounces before they do a 1099. When you're dealing with eBay, they 1099 every damn thing. Then you have to prove to the IRS what your actual cost of goods was and all this type of stuff. So, and there may be much higher capital gains tax rates at that time too, because if you look historically, and I think I'm the only one that brought out these videos, I showed how the capital gains and ordinary income taxes went up exponentially during World War I, World War II, and also the Great Depression. And since our country right now is totally fueled by debt, just about, if we lose our purchasing, our debt, borrowing ability powers, let's say borrowing ability power, everything that the entitlement spending programs that we have going are going to have to be all fueled by raw taxes, or mainly fueled by raw taxes, and the interest rates go up, which will take a much, much larger slice out of the pie of government expenditures. We might see that, the debt situation is going to flat out blow up our economy, and that's going to lead from one thing to another, where you're going to see the precious metals go up higher and higher. But the problem is you're not necessarily going to get that numismatic price in a crisis situation. And the situation, I should also say, a lot of people, they seem to forget what happened in the past. Well, first off, we can remember who was pumping silver like I was pumping silver though. I mean, I thought silver's going to go over $50, but I'm being honest. I'm not working for a bullion dealer, okay? I'm a little too bullish on silver, admittedly. But then again, I was more correct in a lot of areas in the past, because I remember when silver was up to 47, and then it went down to 30, then it went up a little bit to over 40, then it went down to 30 or 26, and it hit that 26 mark a few times. I said the fourth time it would go solidly below 26, but I figured the line in the sand was going to be 22, and 18 would be like really crazy low, and it went down to like 15. But on the flip side, where people were predicting it was going to go really, really low, they erred the other way. And when it hit 15 something, they were predicting $8 an ounce. Not this last summer, I think it was, or the summer before. They were predicting $8 an ounce. And I said, that's ludicrous. It's going to lose almost 50% more of its value after it lost, it's down to like a third of what it used to be. You got to be kidding me. And, they're insisting they were right. Well, I insisted they were wrong. In that case, I was right. But of the more people bullish on silver, I'm far more reasonable than a lot of people, because people have, it really could go to hundreds of dollars an ounce like some of these people claim, and it may happen during a catastrophic economic problem. But the thing is, if it goes to that kind of money, you're going to want to do direct trade barter. And what happens if you're doing direct trade barter? Somebody's going to look at you, you're going to say, I got a numismatic coin here that's worth 3 times the value of the spot price, and you're trying to buy, you're trying to buy an F-150 pickup truck, Ford or something, or Dodge or Chevy Silverado or something, right? Well, I'll just give an example. And you want to do a direct trade. And they got, they got the title right there. Well, these people aren't going to be able to determine this coin's worth 3 times more. They'll know what the spot price of silver or gold is. They're not going to know the numismatic value. And the coin dealers you'll see a much bigger buy spread between buy and sell on numismatic coins with coin dealers than you will with spot price. Now, I'm not saying don't deal with coin dealers, but I'm saying is don't deal with the numismatics much unless maybe it's a semi-numismatic and it's pretty damn close to spot price. Then it's cool. Because the only people you're really going to get to bite on the numismatics for crazy prices is going to be people on eBay, and you're going to be dealing, or any kind of thing like that, where you're going to be dealing with a 1099, and you just blew whatever profit you got right there by doing that, right? Because the government probably at that time, if like I said, if the commodities are really high, which means we're probably in economic turmoil, I think that they're going to raise the capital gains tax because the debt bomb is going to hit us soon, and the only way they're going to be able to fuel the economy is through taxation. During the Great Depression, the tax rates were exponentially higher. Now, one example is on the real highest stratosphere of ordinary income. In 1945, it was a 94% tax rate. But there was people that got away with that because there was loopholes. Now, during World War I, the highest tax rate income, I think it was 73% on both it was the capital gains and ordinary income was the same. 73%. This is immediately after, this super low income tax was passed. They just raised the rates. Now, the only reason the rates today are relatively low is because we're fueling the entire government, keeping it going with debt, which I know is good. That's a bomb ready to explode, which may, not that these dollars won't be buying something in this country. This will be our medium of exchange, okay? But it's going to take a lot more of them. And I'm not saying it's going to be Zimbabwe or the Weimar Republic in Germany in the 20s, but it's still going to take quite a bit more of them. That's when your silver and gold is going to be up there. And you best want to have it where you have, you could do direct dealing with people, and people can, they can look up what the spot price is, and you can say, yeah, here's silver or here's gold. Let me measure it for you. I get my, like I know there's fake gold coins out there, but the fakes are usually easy to determine because all the real ones have exact measurements, and you put them on a digital scale, and you get the exact weight. And if it's something else that's in there, it's not going to be the same weight in the same dimensions. Plus, but when you're dealing with numismatics, you got this arbitrary value. It's worth double because it's collectible. The average person is not going to want to deal with that. And I said, again, yeah, I'm not sure what the gold dealers are going to be doing with that kind of stuff because they're going to be busy. They're going to be busy. So you want to make sure you have everything set, correctly. And I do have a little bit of numismatics, but not mainly. I mainly have, regular raw bullion type stuff that's the spot price. So, that's the spot price. So I'm giving you the milk of truth here, like old kitten girl's getting. So, people, right now I realize, and the other thing is you really got to invest in practical items that can give you utility in the future. If you live in a cold environment and you live in an area that doesn't have that many crazy rules against wood burning stoves or something, you might want to get a highly efficient 80 to 90% wood burning stove as an investment than playing around with precious metals, okay? Because you'll save yourself more money in fuel costs than you probably would that precious metal would ever make you. But the thing is, now I'm an advocate of silver big time too, because more so than gold, but not really because it's more portable when you're dealing with ordinary transactions like, hey, I want a case of beer, here's a ounce of silver or something. I mean, maybe that wouldn't be a good exchange, but but that brings up another topic. In times of emergency, alcohol and cigarettes like this guy's got right here are probably going to be worth far more than precious, or more readily tradable than precious metals. Alcohol and cigarettes. Not so much the beach sand and electronic radio. But, most people don't see what's coming up. Like this guy, he's turning his head one way, and there's probably a tidal wave which represents the economic turmoil that's coming in on us. And that's what I got to call it, economic turmoil. I think that economic turmoil is coming up because, not because I think Trump's a bad guy or Trump's not trying to do a good job, but I realize he's going to be the focus of all the powers behind the scenes. Let's make Trump look as bad as possible. What do you say? Make America look great? Let's make America look as bad as possible. That's why I think the markets will come down. Temporarily, that might be a big hit on Palladium. But as Russian tensions go way the hell up, it's probably going to go, Palladium's going to go way the hell up. But as far as, what you need to do, silver is probably one of your better bets because you're only putting out a little bit of money at a time. I mean, you can buy a few coins here and there. And if you only even had 20 ounces of silver, I can tell you one thing that's really good about that, especially like you really don't need 4-9 silver to make colloidal silver, and that's kind of a myth. You really need is quality distilled water, because the impurities, even in double distilled water, is more of a factor in making the colloidal ionic silver than the difference between 3-9 silver and 4-9 silver. But yeah, be it as it may, Canadian maples with 4-9 silver, fine. But even if you only had 20 ounces of silver, I think when people start figuring out what the real medicinal benefits of silver are, like I'm going to start getting on a roll. I'm going to start drinking a lot more of that colloidal silver every day. And you can watch me on another video later on and see if I turn blue, which I know I'm not going to. The medicinal benefits of silver are so great that not only destroys microbes without harming the good bioflora in the gut, it also helps the body somewhat, not a great deal, to help the body produce stem cells, which can contribute to longevity, which I'm pretty much always looking like Ponce de Leon, looking for that fountain of youth, right? Now, so if you have silver only for that reason, for medicinal, and you have some extras on the side, you might say, hey, I'm gonna do well just from that standpoint, because many times diseases happen in the gut, so you really can't go wrong with it at all. Like this girl here, she could be drinking some colloidal silver after she blows these freaking flames out of her mouth, because I can tell you right now, that must hurt. But it looks like it hurts anyway. But just beware of the silver-tongued devils out there, because really what they are is like the old girl here. They're throwing out the $500 words, but the reality situation is they're trying to get you hooked in the game, and they're all hooked into all these people, different here and there. Like, in other words, it's all smoke and mirrors. As a matter of fact, that's why I don't throw charts out here. I mean, I did throw some charts out about taxation. When the sales taxes all started hitting in this country, which was in the Great Depression. Even state income taxes, a lot of state income taxes, a lot of states went on board with state income taxes in this country. Also the gasoline tax. Now, I put charts out about that because that was an encroachment on our freedoms. And I know there's charts about the gold ratio versus the market ratios, but it's almost like you can't eat gold, you can't eat silver. You can treat biological agents, knock them out with. So that's got a big thing there right there. But the deal is, Most of these people are very much connected to the bullion dealers. Now, I'm not, but I have been. Well, I've been a customer of several places, but one place I think I've had very easy. Well, I know, it's kind of funny. I looked online. I was kind of wondering what people were saying about this place, and it was like mixed reviews. They either had 5 stars or somebody hated it. But my experience, my personal experience, has been very good, and that's with GainesvilleCoins.com over in near Tampa, Florida, and they've been good to go. Um, so, but that's my experience. I don't have a connection to them, and this is not an advertisement for them. But I want to tell you that I've not had any problems with them, and they got everything laid out on their internet site, and no problems with delivery or anything, or any aspects whatsoever. But I would advise when you buy with any dealer, you avoid the numismatics because there's potential to make more money, but you know what you're doing is you're taking a high risk asset and you're making it even more high risk. Now, some people are bitching about the markets being risky, which they are right now. The stock markets are at an all-time high. But, in electronic investments being risky, which Bitcoin could be pretty damn risky right now, even though it looks great because it went over the price of gold. But, whenever something looks great, it could be bad, right? But, I almost look at this numismatic price as like, how somebody values a business as, with goodwill, or somebody even values a property because, oh, there's a property here because they're going to be building a highway and it's going to be this much worth and all that crap, and they tell you all this shit. You want to just stick with whatever the actual electronic markets are doing. That's about what you want. You want to pay as close to that price as possible for the silver coins. And, the Gainesville coins is it is a pretty good deal. I don't know if they're the absolute best one around, but they're very big, so they've got to be doing something right. But I've never had a problem with them. So just want to put this out here at the end. That's my, because I know sometimes people ask me that shit, but this is not something where I'm hooked in with them. Because like I said, the only place I'm hooked in with is a non-bullion dealer, and they only sell electronic assets. And they don't like me telling people to buy bullion. But that's why I'm not really hooked in with them that much. They're kind of like off and on. So I'm giving you very, very honest advice. No smoke and mirrors. And don't go hog wild. But I think the markets are going to start heating up here quite a bit on the precious metals. And Palladium might take a major temporary hit when the markets come down, but it's probably going to boomerang like crazy. So that might be a very good buy when the markets get slammed. Okay? Over and out.